Not today. Not today, AI. What's up, everybody? What's up, SML? What's up, NICU Hawks? NICU? Is that right? Trina? Yeah. Pinberthy? Hello, Reed. Good to see you. Jesse Guy Dwyer. Yeah. Boombastic. Mr. Boombastic.
I think we're going to do the D block.
Oh, that's bad. We're going to do the D block now. Hey, so we just did the E block, which we're going to have to put, at the end of the show. But you got to watch really, really closely for this little, I don't know if they put it in there as an Easter egg or what. It's a store in San Francisco that's run by an AI boss named Luna. And you should see the book that they're selling there. Very, very interesting for those creatives out there. All right, here we go. Shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I think I'm good. Hey, welcome back. As we wait for negotiations between the United States and Iran to resume, veterans here at home are weighing in on the decision to attack Iran. A lot of them are voicing their concerns for the service members being sent overseas for this war. Now, remember, in March, about 50,000 were deployed to that region, and NBC's Aaron Gilchrist spoke to some vets to hear their perspective.
With the launch of airstrikes on Iran back in February, the U.S. entered a new war that's now stretched well into its second month. A fragile ceasefire coming only after Operation Epic Fury destroyed more than 13,000 targets across Iran, according to the Pentagon.
The United States has devastated the regime's ability to harm Americans and our interests for years to come.
We gathered a group of veterans who've served all over the world and have been watching the war with Iran closely from day one.
We're in it now, deal with what we have at hand. When you're on a mission, you don't stop to ask your NCO, your first sergeant, your captain, why are we doing this?
Universally, these vets support the fighters in the U.S. military and said that something needed to be done.
I'm behind Trump. Whatever he wants to do, I'm for it. As far as I'm concerned, kick some ass. Just get in there and kick some ass.
I think that the Islamic Republic of Iran has been terrorizing the world for about 40 years. I absolutely agree with the decision to ensure that Iran was not a nuclear threat.
We asked about the president's war of words, his post saying a whole civilization will die tonight. Some vets believe the rhetoric is not helpful and potentially dangerous.
Rhetoric will impact everything, whether we're in a war or we're sitting here at a conversation.
It could be negative to the troops, so I do believe that they need to maybe find different words to get their point across.
As the administration sends ground troops to the region, some veterans say sending them into Iran would be a bridge too far.
When he said he was going to send ground troops, that just broke my heart, because we need to get it done without ground troops. That's more deaths.
In 38 days of fighting, nearly 5,000 people were killed across the Middle East, most of them in Iran, according to a U.S.-based rights group. That number includes 13 U.S. service members. And even after the war ends, these veterans think the U.S. military presence won't.
What do you think of the idea that the U.S. might have to prop up society for years to come after the war?
I think after this is all said and done, there still need to be some forces over there.
Are we going to be there? I would believe so. Are we going to stay there longer than we should? I would say yes, if it was my opinion.
My father was part of the occupation forces in Italy after the war, and I was born there. I mean, occupation forces are part of what we do.
Valuable perspectives there. Aaron, thank you. And coming up in the future of everything, a look inside a market run by an AI bot named Luna. Stay tuned for that. But first, you got to see this. New York City's MTA police jumped into action yesterday to save this cat that was stuck on the tracks. Along with some animal rescuers, they were able to save that little guy from the Long Island Railroad tracks. His name is Garfield, for real, and he is now safe and sound, but maybe down one of those 9 lives after that little scare. We'll be right back. Oh, that was a good find. Great find, whoever found that. Okay, pre-tape blocks, hi. No, it is still the bane of our existence. I got to go to New York to figure out some of that stuff. So I'm here at 30 Rock. Above me, these guys, I'm here at Universal Studios. That's 30 Rock up there. And then this down here is Universal Studios. And then this over here, this over here, this is whatever is going on air, and that's a mix of signals from Los Angeles and New York. So there's a lot of broadcast engineering that goes into all this stuff that I know very little about, but we're gonna figure out the Knox situation. Thanks for asking, hi. But you know what? Sometimes if we're pre-taping them during this little pre-show, you guys get to see them play out. Because were you guys able to hear all that? I hope so. Hey, what's up? How's it going, Tony? Garfield does look like he eats lasagna. He did. He was a big boy. Very big. Derek Lyon, thank you very much for that follow. Game Master, hello. Why is a warning sign coming up already? No one has said anything. Is there a warning sign on? Oh man, is TikTok trying to? What's going on here? Are we getting? Wait, hold on. LASD, okay. Criminal investigations into Swalwell. Interesting, okay. Got all kinds of news still coming in here. Exporting final now. I'm really excited about that spot. We've got this our entire team is filled with some incredible producers, but have you guys seen those Lego? I think we were talking about it in the chat the other day and we just couldn't get it up into the segment. But the Lego videos, have you guys seen those? Those Lego videos that have been playing all over social media, depicting the war in Iran, pretty much through the Iranian perspective. Well, we're going to talk to some of the people behind those videos and also look at propaganda. They're calling it slopaganda, in this new front in the war of propaganda that we see playing out in this era of AI. Yeah, they're real in the sense that they're being used to some pretty, hey, how's it going? Pretty powerful effect. They're cheap to make. They're kind of like IEDs of propaganda. Usually propaganda back in the day was very highly produced, very, very well thought out. Now you just take a meme, take a cultural moment, throw it together, run it through an AI image generator or something like that, and then boom, you have some very powerful propaganda that hits the ethos, the pathos, the logos, all the things that are important to Americans, important to other cultures as well. But Legos, if you think about it, Legos hit nostalgia, right? They are easy to understand. Again, the caricatures are recognizable, and yet you kind of forgive the production value, and then people, I don't know, they think it's funny and relatable. It's about war. It's crazy. It's weird, but it makes you feel all kinds of different ways, and that way that you feel is often the intent. So, yeah, it's really interesting. And again, like, yeah, I totally understand that. Inky Cat 5, what's up, New Mexico? 505 for life. My New Mexicans are always in the chat, and I love it.
I mean, that's great.
I love it.
Your New Mexico supporters.
My Burqueños forever.
What
Jake,
do you call it?
Burqueños is what? If you're from Burque? You never heard that?
No.
Burque.
Where's Burque? In New Mexico?
From Albuquerque.
I'm not.
You've never even
clearly
heard
not.
Albuquerque? Have you heard Burque? What?
We're all learning.
You guys have never heard Burque? That's 505. So Camila Bernal is here. She's doing our first segment, which is all about Eric Swalwell. So we'll be chatting about that. That's what we're going to lead with. The fallout continues. from the resignation, the allegations against the congressman, the former congressman who was like the front runner, one of the front runners for governor here in California. So has all kinds of, ripple effects through the political landscape. Boyino, I don't know. Polino, David Horse, 800 says, hello.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. George R.R. Martin is from New Mexico. Fun fact, he used to live down the street from me when I lived in Santa Fe. And he had the sickest mailbox. You would never think it was George R.R. Martin's house, except for, because, all the neighbors were like, that's George R.R. Martin's house. And I was like, no. And then you go by, and he had a castle as a mailbox. And then I'm like, oh, that is. And then you would see him actually 4 o'clock every single day. I'm not going to tell you which restaurant because I don't want people mogging him. But yeah, George R.R. Martin used to be very punctual about his dinners at a certain place in Santa Fe. So we'd go over and we'd be like, are you ever going to finish these books? So, no dice. Let's see. From the Philippines. Really? Wow. Zan Joe, we've been preparing all day, and we have different people reading in on different shifts, and the organization is massive. We're one of the biggest, I think, if not the biggest organization for news gathering in the planet. So, the stuff that's been happening overseas, that's happening overnight. We're kind of known as the late shift. We're the last show on the NBC News Now network. So it's 8 o'clock on the East Coast, 5 o'clock here on the West Coast. Sun hasn't even gone down yet. And so we catch a lot of the late breaking news. Like there was just another boat strike. Did you know about this? Capcom just, a narco boat allegedly. So we're going to be breaking that. And then we've got, obviously, the latest in Iran. Yeah, we're talking about UFOs too, because today is a deadline. And they're not taking it seriously, which is, All right, here we go. Let me fire this up real fast. We're sitting, right?
Yeah, stay there.
Okay.
30 to sound.
30 to sound, 30 to sound. So if you're just watching and you're wondering what the heck this is, I promise this is a news show. It's going to start in 20 seconds. And I'm going to put this right here. Then you're going to see the show up here. This is on NBC News Now. You've probably found it on YouTube or on TikTok or on Twitch. But you can also turn on TV right now and then watch it in full screen on TV. And then during the commercial breaks, you can come up here and chat with us. So keep the questions coming. Hey guys, it's Scotty Schwartz, and tonight a woman accuses Eric Swalwell of drugging and raping her back in 2018.
He raped me, and he choked me.
It's just the latest in a number of allegations that have surfaced against the now former congressman. We're going to talk to a political influencer who is advocating for some of the accusers. Then, while the clock is ticking on this fragile ceasefire, a propaganda war is far from over. We're going to take a close look at Iran and the United States through this lens of AI-generated Lego videos. Plus, severe weather continues to threaten parts of the Midwest with tens of millions of people at risk for heavy rain, strong winds, and tornadoes tonight. And are the recent attacks on OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman's home a sign of a violent turn against artificial intelligence? We'll investigate. Coming up. And tonight, rape allegations have been leveled against Congressman or former Congressman Eric Swalwell from an accuser who spoke out publicly for the first time. She says Swalwell allegedly drugged her and assaulted her in 2018. Listen.
He raped me, and he choked me. And while he was choking me, I lost consciousness. And I thought I died.
Lana Drew's lawyers saying that they have filed a police report against him with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office. Tonight, that office has now confirmed it is launching a criminal investigation into those allegations. And just moments ago, Governor Gavin Newsom announcing there will be a special election for Swalwell's seat after he officially resigned from Congress earlier today. Now, NBC News has repeatedly reached out to Swalwell's office but have not heard back. But in a statement today, Swalwell's lawyers continue to deny the allegations, saying, quote, "These accusations are false, fabricated, and deeply offensive, a calculated and transparent political hit job designed to destroy the reputation of a man who has spent 20 years in public service." Let's bring in Camila Bernal, who has been following this story for us. Camila, what else do we know about these recent accusations made by Lana Drews against Swalwell?
Yeah, they're very disturbing allegations and graphic for a lot of people who may not want to listen to them. But essentially what she says is that she had one drink. So she knew that she was drugged. You heard her saying there that she felt essentially that she was raped, and then also the fact that he choked her and that she felt like she couldn't breathe, basically, that she felt like she died at that point. And it was after they started having some social interactions. They had 2 social interactions first that she said were normal. They developed a friendship. They were texting. She said none of those text messages were sexual in nature, but it was that third encounter where she thought she was going to a social party or situation, and instead he told her, "Hey, we need to go to my hotel room because I need to pick up some paperwork." And that's when she says she already felt drugged and all of this happened. And so they're obviously very serious allegations. And like you mentioned, it's the sheriff's department here in LA already looking into all of this. But she says it was also really difficult to come forward and talk about all of this. But she says, through her lawyer, who sat down with me and talked to me, says that basically Eric Swalwell sort of minimized some of the allegations that other women were speaking out about, and that sort of motivated her to come forward.
Yeah, because there's a few allegations that are out there right now. We're going to be talking to somebody in just a bit about some other allegations. But the attorney that you mentioned, is that Lisa Bloom? Because Lisa Bloom, I mean, she worked with Harvey Weinstein, right, back in 2017 during the whole Me Too thing. Afterwards, she came out and she kind of publicly apologized for some of those things, but it's pretty notable that she's representing this accuser, right?
Yeah, she's sort of on the other side of the issue in this case in particular. And what she said is, look, accusers can take years to come forward. And she says you have to believe these accusers. And I pressed her on whether they had evidence. She said they did, and that her word was enough. Just hearing from one victim should be enough for you, for me, for everyone else. And take a listen to the rest of our conversation.
Your statement yesterday that you just made, quote, mistakes in judgment is defensive and minimizing. Stop it. Own your behavior.
So that was obviously not when I sat down with her. I sat down with her right after, and she, you know, again, went over all the things that she had heard from her client and told me that her client was in tears for days and that has sought, you know, medical help and has talked to a therapist. And so she says all of that is going to possibly help other women as well. She said she actually has 3 other people before today, before this even went public, that had reached out to her. Obviously, we haven't confirmed any of these allegations, but she believes that more people would likely come forward after listening to her client and after listening to other women who are speaking out about their experiences with the former congressman.
And we're about to hear a lot more about that. Camila Bernal, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's bring in Cheyenne Hunt. She's a lawyer and Democratic content creator who found herself almost at the focal point of a lot of this a couple of weeks ago with the post she made on TikTok. Cheyenne, thanks so much for being with us. Let's start with that TikTok video you posted just 2 weeks ago. When you first talk about allegations you were hearing about Eric Swalwell, let's play it here real fast.
The Democratic candidate currently leading in the California governor's race has a known history of being predatory towards women.
That TikTok video sent shockwaves through the entire political world. And then what happened after you posted that video?
Well, that video seemed to have a ripple effect that I don't think any of us were going to anticipate. I received a huge outpouring of DMs from other women claiming that they had had really problematic encounters with the congressman and looking for support, looking to share those stories. Within a couple of hours, I was on the phone with these women, hearing these explicit, horrific details ranging all the way from, sexual harassment of 18-year-old interns to full criminal assault. And that was when I knew that this was much larger than we were aware of, and that we were going to have to get to work assembling a team, because he was poised to be the next governor of California.
And when you're talking about allegations, there are a lot of allegations to keep track of. Is this all separate from the rape allegation that we heard here in California today?
That is separate. Yeah, we had not spoken to this woman at all and had no heads up of what her allegations were going to be. That being said, the details do match patterns that we have heard from other survivors, some that have come public and some that are not yet comfortable doing so.
And I know you're an attorney. At first, were they reaching out for legal advice?
They weren't. I think that one of the really 2026 things about this story is that they were reaching out to me because I was a creator that many of them knew and trusted, which is very parasocial and very strange. And I think I put out this message and it let them know that if they came forward, they would be believed. And they were coming to me just because they were looking for any way to tell their story safely. And we connected them with pro bono legal counsel. I obviously was consulting and working with them the whole time, but I wanted to make sure that we had really experienced high caliber hands on this, because it was highly sensitive. And frankly, in the beginning, we didn't know how it was going to be received. We didn't know if these women would face political retaliation or legal retaliation. And I wanted to make sure that every step of the way that we were working with professionals to put these women and their interests first.
And yet, and again, this is 2026. You get online and you read some of these comment sections, and that's got to be pretty hard.
It's certainly awful for these women who are bravely and courageously coming forward. And I also think that it sends a clear message as to why this work is more important than ever. We've seen a revival of misogyny, I think, just in the Trump administration, but culturally and globally in general. And this is our rebuttal. This is the next generation of women putting our stake in the ground and saying that we will not put up with this, not in the halls of Congress, not anywhere. And so it's very clear that we need to have another cultural reckoning here, a Me Too Part 2, will you? And that's something that, these comment sections make clear, but also it has been incredible to see the reception that these women have gotten in the real world, right? Like, the political reaction to this was instantaneous, and Eric Swalwell was basically expelled from the Democratic Party almost immediately. And I know for a lot of these women, that was very healing.
And Swalwell's attorney today, they are questioning the timing of the allegations, calling them politically motivated. How do you respond?
I think it's disgusting to smear victims this way, but it's a playbook that we're familiar with. It's frankly the Trump playbook. Deny, say it's a conspiracy, say that they're paid by MAGA or billionaires or your opponents or anyone, and all at the same time, right? It's desperate. It, to me, reeks of somebody who's had all of his communication staffers quit and walk out on him, and he's not quite sure what he's doing. I don't think that it's a mistake or a coincidence that this is his second attorney in a week. It's definitely somebody who's scattered and on his back foot.
Cheyenne, really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us tonight. Thanks.
Absolutely.
And now to the war with Iran on this sixth day of a shaky ceasefire and the second day of this semi-U.S. blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, blocking only ships coming to or from Iranian ports, which the United States military says now includes 6 ships in the first 24 hours that were forced to turn around. But here's where it gets a little complicated. Ship tracking data showed that a number of Iranian-linked ships did pass through the strait after the U.S. blockade started. Meanwhile, there is a major sticking point in the ceasefire so far, and that has been the fighting between Israel and Lebanon. Well, today, officials from both Lebanon and Israel met face-to-face for peace talks in Washington today with Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
This is a historic opportunity. We understand we're working against decades of history and complexities that have led us to this unique moment. And the opportunity here, I know some of you are shouting questions about ceasefires. This is a lot more than just about that. This is about bringing a permanent end to 20 or 30 years of Hezbollah's influence in this part of the world.
Bring in senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez to talk about this. So, Gabe, let's start with Lebanon and Israel in direct talks. That seems like a huge deal here. Any progress?
Yeah, Gotti, it is significant. It's the first direct talks between Israel and Lebanon in decades. They were hosted here by Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Washington, and the Israeli representative came out of it saying that the two countries are basically on the same side of the equation. Now, of course, this all comes as Iran-backed Hezbollah continues to attack Israel. Israel continues to attack Hezbollah in Lebanon. And so that really is one of the major hangups that we have heading into these broader peace talks that the Trump administration is hoping happens in the next couple of days. But again, the U.S. says that Israel and Lebanon have now agreed to hold further talks about a potential ceasefire. Again, just one portion of all this, but one that could be very significant as all this plays out, Gotti.
And what is the latest with the talks between Trump and Iran?
Well, look, President Trump today sounded optimistic that these talks would happen by the end of the week. He told the New York Post within the next 2 days there could be in-person talks between Iran and the U.S. back in Pakistan. Now, Gotti, this comes just several days, though, after Vice President Vance led a delegation to Islamabad, negotiated for more than 21 hours, and there was no agreement. So there is some skepticism around the world that these negotiations will go anywhere. But we are learning from a source familiar with the negotiations some more of the specifics here. The U.S. is, according to this source, is proposing that Iran suspend its uranium enrichment for 20 years, and Iran has come back and said that it would agree to anywhere from 3 to 5 years, something that is not acceptable to President Trump. So at this point, as we understand that both sides are trying to square, that discrepancy, and there's a long way to go, but at least they appear to be talking at this point, and there's a possibility of another round of in-person talks, at least within the next couple of days, according to President Trump. Got it.
Yeah, all while both try to kind of keep their hand on the lever of Hormuz, right?
Yes, that's right. Look, and the idea of enriched uranium, according to a source familiar with the negotiations, enriched uranium is an issue, but the map you have on your screen right there, yes, that 21-mile stretch, the Strait of Hormuz, critical for so much of the world's oil, some 20% of it. President Trump ordering a blockade several days ago to try and pressure the Iranian regime to open the Strait of Hormuz. So we understand from a U.S. official that the U.S. in the first 24 hours of that new blockade had warned ships not to traverse the strait or Iranian ports. That blockade is actually of those Iranian ports along that stretch, and that according to that U.S. official, those ships listened. According to CENTCOM as well, U.S. Central Command, more than 10,000 U.S. service members are now enforcing that blockade of those Iranian ports. So certainly the Strait of Hormuz is a major part of all this, enriching uranium and what happens to the uranium that Iran has already enriched, whether they give it up, whether the U.S. has to go in and take it somehow. That is something that's holding up this broader ceasefire. And then back to where we started, Gotti, the idea of Hezbollah and Lebanon, will there be some sort of an agreement to stop the fighting there? So a lot of different pieces to juggle at this point. But stocks soared today on the prospect. Wall Street apparently optimistic that there might be some way to get to these new round of peace talks. The Dow up more than 300 points. And again, the president saying that a new round could happen in the next couple of days. Got it.
Gabe Gutierrez at the White House. Gabe, thank you. Let's bring in senior fellow at Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, Aaron David Miller. Aaron, great to see you. First off, historic talks between Lebanon and Israel today, right? But is this just Lebanon, or is Hezbollah involved in these talks in any shape or form?
Oh, yeah, Gotti, thanks for having me. Look, a number of cruel and politically inconvenient realities. These talks are largely performative. I think it's significant that they're taking place. It shows that Hezbollah's grip on the Lebanese government has been eased. But by no means do these talks presage any major fundamental change in the bitter reality of Lebanon. The Israelis cannot destroy Hezbollah. They hollowed it out in September 2024, but the organization that was Iran's billion-dollar proxy has re-upped, rearmed, and has the capacity to continue to rocket, particularly with Cornet anti-tank missiles, and make life miserable for the residents of northern Israel. And the Israelis have responded mercilessly with intense, comprehensive strikes, clearing out, 10 to 15 miles from the Israeli-Lebanese border northward, making that area uninhabitable for Lebanese villagers as well as for Hezbollah. So I don't think the Lebanese government has the will or the capacity to take on Hezbollah. It would probably lead to sectarian strife, and the army might break, the Lebanese army might break, and the Israelis won't be able to do it. So this is going to remain, Netanyahu's pushing here. He'll push as far as he can until Trump tells him that this particular piece of the Middle East puzzle is interfering with Trump's broader strategy to try and de-escalate and ultimately find a way out of this war.
It's interesting because you hear, Gabe saying that they're on the same page, and it seems like you'd imagine that that same page would be like, yeah, Hezbollah is causing massive problems here, but doing something about it is the big question mark.
And, nothing happens in, look, I've been around the Arab-Israeli negotiations for a better part of a quarter century. They only have two speeds, and it's true of U.S.-Iranian negotiations, slow and slower. When the vice president, and the media is making an enormous amount of the fact that the vice president spent 21 hours negotiating. I mean, 21 hours is nothing. We're talking about existential issues, political issues, a regime that is determined to survive and has demonstrated a terrifying capacity 7 weeks into this war to do so. So, no, there's no military solution to this conflict. I think the Iranians have proved that. The administration has, I think, a better strategy with respect to the blockade, certainly better than deploying ground troops on Kharg Island. And yeah, they can strip Iran of a lot of hard currency, which is critically important to buy imports, particularly in areas like vegetable oils and animal feed. All that stuff comes in, soybeans, through sea routes. But the Iranians have at least 160 million barrels of oil in tankers outside of the straits that could keep them flush to their customers as late as July. So the question really becomes, whose pain threshold is higher or lower? I mean, time is an ally or an adversary. Which is it? But one thing I know, I mean, we ain't getting out of this anytime soon.
Yeah, and only one is really beholden to a voting public when you get down to it in the long scheme of things. Aaron David Miller, always fascinating to talk to you. Thank you so very much. Meanwhile, as the ceasefire continues, the propaganda war is still raging on across social media. You probably have seen this, and at first it might seem like almost unserious, but what we are watching is the first AI-era wartime trolling taken to a level now being called slopaganda. It is cheap to make, it's deployed at lightning speed, but does something like seeing Legos fight it out actually change the way people see the war? Well, take a look.
Nothing but a fraud. Yo, call him what he is. Liar!
In the war between the U.S. and Iran, there's a new front opening up. Not on the battlefield, but online, where the propaganda of old has been replaced with what's being called slopaganda. Meme-ready and quickly made with AI.
Slopaganda is a mixture of propaganda and artificial intelligence.
Mark Alfano is a professor of philosophy in Australia. He says whatever its form, the intention is always the same politically and emotionally: to incite, to polarize, to simplify and often dehumanize opponents, whether in real wars abroad or culture wars at home. But how did we get here? Let's go back in time.
The term propaganda arose during the Protestant Reformation, a term that was coined by the Catholic Church. There are woodcuts of German peasants, for instance, farting on the Pope.
And cartoons as propaganda go back centuries. Even during World War II, Disney turned Donald Duck into Commando Duck. From 1941 to 1945, the U.S. government commissioned Walt Disney Studios to create over 30 animated propaganda cartoons, often anti-Nazi or anti-Japan.
What is new now is this can be produced really quickly in response to current events and spread to not hundreds or thousands of people, but hundreds of millions of people.
But recently, these AI-generated videos showing President Trump and the war in Iran in Lego form are starting to define the slopaganda war of today. They're made by a team of pro-Iranian activists known as Explosive Media, and the group has released over a dozen videos since the start of the war in February, many of them racking up millions of views across social media. In a BBC interview, the group admitted to working with the Iranian government. Explosive Media told our team their goal is to present realities, events, and the stories behind them in a way that's engaging, accessible, and easy to understand, adding, "We aim to turn complex topics into compelling visual narratives that resonate globally." But is that what's happening?
Everyone understands what Lego images look like. And one of the things that's interesting about that in particular, as opposed to, say, like deep fakes, is that no one is deceived. It's more like a matter of evoking emotions and directing attention.
Mavericks inbound. Meanwhile, the White House has responded to questions about their use of pop culture in official social media posts, with a post saying, "Nowhere in the Constitution does it say we can't post banger memes." As for navigating a world where creating and disseminating propaganda has never been easier,
part of it is a matter of digital literacy on the part of individuals, but I think we also need systematic responses that involve things like regulation and legislation, because it's not fair to expect individuals to govern the world of information that they're encountering.
Let the ships go through. Our team reached out to the White House for comment. They sent back a statement saying that under the decisive leadership of President Trump, America's heroic warfighters met or surpassed all of their goals under Operation Epic Fury. The legacy media wants us to apologize for highlighting the United States' military incredible success, but the White House is proud to showcase the many examples of Iran's ballistic missiles, production facilities, and dreams of owning a nuclear weapon being destroyed in real time. And don't go anywhere. Up next, it is another night of severe weather putting millions at risk after dozens of reported tornadoes tore through communities last night. A look at that aftermath. Plus, it looks like your average market, except it's run entirely by one AI bot who even hired a human to help. We're going to explain later this hour, so stay tuned.
Claire, 2 minutes.
Whoa! All right. Yes, that was a really well-edited piece. PJ and Nicole, you guys are amazing. 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 That was a really, really, really good piece. And then, yeah, Tina, I think you were talking about Legos in the comments the other day and got all of our wheels turning. Let's see. 2 minutes? Yes! And we got Chris Mellon. Ha-ha! All right. Cool. That means that we are talking UFOs, UAPs, coming up here in just a little bit. Chris Mellon has been trying to declassify stuff since, the early 2000 teens. So we're going to be talking to him about this latest twist in that deadline. It was supposed to be today. Remember, we talked about it yesterday. Yes, Tina, that's a great idea. UFO update coming right up, SML.
1 minute, stand in.
Let's see here. Yeah. All right, we're right here for this one.
Great.
Cool.
You got 1 minute.
We got 1 minute. So let me just give you a preview of the segment that's about to come up. We are following this deadline that subcommittee for the revelation of secrets has been asking for. It was a deadline of 46 UAP videos that showed all kinds of wild things. This thing that happened over Syria, where this little light instantly accelerated, allegedly. And then maybe some like UFOs under the water, UFOs above the water, UFOs under the water are USOs. Anyway, we're going to get into it right now. But first, we got headlines, so stay tuned. Here we go.
7, 5, 4, 3.
Hey, welcome back. Here are some of the headlines that we are watching tonight. The Department of Defense announced another deadly strike on an alleged drug trafficking boat tonight in the Eastern Pacific. The DoD says 4 men this time were killed in the operation, but no U.S. military forces were hurt. These boat strikes have now taken out more than 50 vessels and killed at least 170 people. Police say an attempted kidnapping at a Nebraska Walmart ended in this deadly shooting. Now, investigators say a woman with a knife tried to take a 3-year-old from his caretaker. Omaha police got there within minutes. They shot and killed the suspect after she swiped the knife at the child. Fortunately, that child is expected to recover from cuts to his face and hand. Police are now investigating a motive here. And former University of Michigan football coach Sharon Moore will avoid jail time. A judge sentenced him to 18 months of probation in this case involving an inappropriate relationship with a former staffer. His lawyer reached a plea deal which dismissed more severe charges like home invasion and stalking. A review hearing is going to be held in October. And Harvey Weinstein is being retried on rape charges for a 3rd time in Manhattan. Jury selection got underway today. Weinstein was initially convicted back in 2020 for the rape of Jessica Mann, but the verdict was overturned. In a second trial, the jury was deadlocked. Weinstein's spokesperson says he is, quote, looking forward to a fair trial. The 74-year-old is currently serving a 16-year sentence in California and is planning on appealing that conviction this month. And the latest inductees for Rock and Roll Hall of Fame were named today. Phil Collins, Billy Idol, Oasis. They are among the honorees. Hip-hop legends Wu-Tang and R&B's Luther Vandross also received nods, but there were some snubs the fans are not happy about. No Mariah Carey, no Shakira, no Lauryn Hill. The official induction ceremony is going to be held on November 14th. And tonight, still no UFO files, no new UFO files from the Pentagon, even though today was the deadline for them to turn 46 secret UFO videos over to lawmakers. We talked about that yesterday. Some of those videos allegedly show things like spherical objects weaving through clouds, going underwater, appearing near U.S. warships, an Ohio airport, others near Iran and Syria. And yesterday, the chairwoman of the committee spearheading all of this told us she might be running into bureaucratic tape.
We'll send letters, but sometimes it's the lower level staff. We call them, little goblins because they usually just like pop up out of nowhere and then they just disappear and they try to block things, throw them off, stonewall, prevent stuff from coming out.
Well, guess what happened today? Representative Luna just posted this. It appears that someone did not pass the letter to the appropriate authorities. How convenient. Nevertheless, we will be getting the requested list. We are not waiting for a briefing at some unspecified future date. The Secretary of War is someone that I consider a friend, someone who backs the president. The president has authorized the release, so whoever is trying to be cute at the Pentagon can take a hike. So what does that mean? When are we going to see these videos? Why is it taking so long? Let's bring in Chris Mellon, a former U.S. intelligence official that has had such a big role in the disclosure that we've seen so far. Chris, gosh, you know almost better than anybody else about how things can die this bureaucratic death. What the heck happened here? Because even though it's not as sensational as like a flying saucer or an orb or something like that, I feel like this whole communication breakdown between Pentagon staffers, low-level staffers, lawmakers, and secretaries is exactly why things are so confusing right now, especially when some of us in the media are screaming like, show us the videos.
Yeah, thank you for having me, by the way. I'm reminded of a comment that one of the Athenian generals said in the history of the Peloponnesian War, which was that against stupidity, the gods themselves struggle in vain. Only I would substitute bureaucracy for stupidity here. We have the president coming out and saying he wants all these UAP records released, We have Congress saying the same thing. They're saying it in unison. And yet even a small subset of these records, when there's a specific request for them, somehow that falls through the cracks and doesn't happen. And I think it's going to be a protracted period of time before we start to see a serious release of records, unfortunately. There are 1,000 ways that the bureaucracy can resist these sorts of mandates, and I think we're seeing some evidence of that right now.
Yeah, sometimes it's a conspiracy. Sometimes it's as simple as a staffer just kind of like shrugging and being like, well, maybe I'll get to it, maybe I won't. Yesterday, we had Jeremy Corbell on the show, and he did share one of these videos that we believe is in this list. It's this instant acceleration over Syria, and it's pretty compelling. You see it going up there on the screen, and then all of a sudden, it seems to zoom off. Do you think that we're going to see videos like this, which, as compelling as it is, it's not definitive proof, or do you think that we're going to see something that actually moves the needle one way or the other?
There is imagery that would move the needle if it was released. That will probably be the most difficult imagery to get released, and probably will not be at the front of the line, I'm afraid. I'm kind of astonished that the department hasn't done a better job of reaching out and making these things available. In my own experience, after bringing 3 videos to the New York Times that everyone today is familiar with who follows the subject, I followed up with a 4th video that I knew was of the same ilk. It was unclassified, and Arrow said they just couldn't find it. And at the time that I saw it, it was, in the bureaucracy. Everybody knew what it was and had seen it. It was quite a compelling video. And they said they couldn't find it after weeks of looking. So I think this is going to be a protracted process. And, you see every day when they want to release something, they can get footage from the front lines in Iran and get it out there from various kinds of platforms and do it, within hours. But if it's something the bureaucracy is not wanting to release, we have these extraordinary delays and excuses and problems that arise.
Yeah, I mean, as we just saw in the last, 10 minutes with the boat strikes that we just saw from Capcom. I mean, it is mind-boggling, and we really appreciate you helping us figure all of it out. Chris Mellon, thank you so much. And it is finally starting to feel like spring for those of us that have dealt with a long winter, but that also means new storms. Look at these funnel clouds in Kansas, Iowa, South Dakota. More than a dozen tornadoes were reported last night, and more could be on the way. The storms leaving homes like these completely torn apart in Kansas, where officials say at least 5 people got hurt. NBC's Shaquille Brewster has more on all of it.
It's coming right at us. Devastating tornadoes ripping across the heartland, hitting hard in both Iowa. This is crazy. And Kansas. At least 15 reported tornadoes wreaking a path of destruction across the Midwest.
Pretty obvious funnel under a rotating wall cloud. Getting pretty close to the ground.
In Hillsdale, Kansas, the walls of these homes shredded to pieces. Crews already racing to repair the downed power lines littered across the roads. People left stunned from the damage.
Oh my gosh. I cannot believe this. I used to work here. This is nutty.
In Ottawa, Jeffrey Castleberry says he was in his home with 6 others, including an 18-month-old baby, when the tornado rolled through.
We opened the door to come through to the family room, and the wall just disappeared in front of us.
You saw it?
Yeah, the wall was gone. Yeah, it was there, and then it was gone.
Violent storms also hit Wisconsin. Car after car after car smashed by fallen trees. And in Colorado, during an April snowstorm, more than 75 vehicles estimated to be part of this massive highway pileup, shutting down one side of I-70. Back in Kansas, the cleanup is underway, with the daunting task of rebuilding now ahead.
We've been here 11 years, and we lost everything.
And Gotti, you see that family still working to clean up this debris ahead of what we know will be another round of storms. The story of how they survived is incredible. They got the tornado alert, tried to run to the cellar by running through that door into what used to be their family room. They say they realized it was way too late, so instead they all huddled around each other with the baby in the middle of them as debris was flying all around. Gotti?
Shaquille Brewster, thank you. Mother Nature is no joke. And these storms are threatening right now millions across the country with more thunder, more hail, dangerous wind gusts. Meanwhile, there is a super typhoon battering some islands out in the Pacific, and NBC meteorologist Larissa Abreu has the forecast of all of it. Larissa?
Good evening, Gotti. We continue to monitor the violent typhoon Sinlaku, right now beginning to lift north and west and away from Saipan and Guam. I want to talk stats because this is an impressive storm. It's the strongest typhoon so far this year, packing sustained winds at its center of 130 miles an hour. Here's why it's so dangerous. It is at a crawl, just moving 6 miles an hour to the north and west. And this is going to continue to be the case here over the next couple of hours. This is what we anticipate. The official forecast track puts this to the north and west, and then it will take a sharp northeast turn, eventually beginning to diminish as we approach the weekend. By the time we head towards Saturday, it will have significantly diminished. Let's go ahead and switch gears here and talk about the mainland in the United States, because 64 million people are at risk to see severe storms. We're talking a few strong tornadoes in addition to damaging hail and strong wind gusts. Well, this is going to carry on into the day on Wednesday, where we're going to see the same hard-hit areas get another round of severe weather. By Wednesday, it's 29 million people at risk, strong winds, a few tornadoes in addition to strong wind gusts and those isolated tornadoes. Now, as we take a look at rainfall, this is where we could see not only heavy rain, but the possibility for flooding as well. The hard-hit areas, the Midwest, that's what we're going to be tracking here. Places like Detroit to Cleveland, extending west into Chicago, and then south and west into Oklahoma City. That's where anywhere between 3 to possibly 5 inches of rain can fall before it is all said and done, with the timing of it all continuing through Thursday. But even some folks will see that heavy rain last through Friday. And then as far as the temperatures are concerned, today about 135 million people dealing with temperatures at least 15 degrees above average, especially places in the Midwest, extending into the Northeast, where temps today reached into the 90s, and they get to see another day where potential record highs will be broken or challenged as we head towards Wednesday and Thursday before cooler weather finally arrives by the end of the week. I'll send it back over to you.
Larissa Abreu, thank you so much. And coming up, the man accused of throwing a Molotov cocktail at the home of Sam Altman appearing in court today. The latest on that just ahead. 2:45, that's a long time. Yes, 2:45. We got 2:45 to chat. All right, what are you guys saying? Luna wants to subpoena the raw server data from the, what? Really? I heard they were threatening subpoenas, but it sounds like, she says she's friends with the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, so maybe they're trying to do this cordially. I don't know. Let's see. But what about space? Yeah. Always love space. Is this live? Shane Richards? Yeah, it's live. And now we're answering questions live.
Wait, this is live?
Well,
this is live?
There's Morgan. Morgan is live in the studio here. Thanks for staying, not pre-taping. Yeah. The real ones are the ones that are like, well, I'm staying all the way. Ask your questions during the breaks. You can answer them. Do you like cigarettes or alcohol? Neither. Gotti looks like a Chad.
I know some cool Chads.
Wait, do you think I'm buff? I'll take that part, but I don't know about the Chad stuff. Do I like Fred Astaire? I do like Fred Astaire. Swing Time? Wait, do Chads like Fred Astaire? I don't. Anyway, this is some great questions, guys. Great questions. But any about the news? Yeah. Twitch. Hi. Didn't know about that.
90.
Okay, we got 90 seconds. Hi says, hey, Morgan.
Right on.
We got 1 to 2 people watching on Twitch.
Hey,
very, very exciting. He says, hey, back. Chads and Fred Astaire in the same sentence is crazy. You guys, chat is crazy. Why are you guys asking such non sequiturs? Okay, here we go. We got 1 minute now. Let me get back in the game here. Back with
never left the game.
Sam Altman. Sam Altman.
I was at a comedy club one night, and I made a comment as the comedian was doing his bit, and he was like, sorry, Chad from the Cheap Seats, you got something you'd like to
Oh,
say?
no! He said Chad from the Cheat Sheets to you?
Yeah, to me.
Yeah, because
I've been called a Chad before.
did you stand up and tower over him?
No, I was too embarrassed.
Yeah. In case you don't know, and you can't tell from this perspective, he's like 6'10" over here.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on I'm sitting on a phone book anytime he comes in.
Boy.
20 seconds. All right, here we go.
Daniel Moreno Gama.
Hey, welcome back. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman's home was attacked not once, but twice in just 3 days. But are they connected? In that first attack, a man threw a Molotov cocktail at Altman's house, then booked it over to OpenAI's headquarters, where police say he wanted to set the building on fire. He's now facing both state and federal charges. He was just in court a few hours ago. Let's bring in NBC's Morgan Chesky, who's following all this for us. Morgan, so what happened in court today?
Well, he made his appearance in court, Gotti. There was an anticipation he would be arraigned. That did not happen. He had kind of monosyllabic responses to the judge, who addressed, again, this suspect identified as 20-year-old Daniel Moreno Gama, who had a public defender with him. The arraignment now pushed back till May here, Gotti. But what's telling is that the public defender told the court that his client suffered a mental health episode, and as such, the charges against him are wildly too severe. He essentially criticized the district attorney for bringing attempted murder charges against his client for what he called no more than an act of vandalism. How this is going to play out in that May arraignment, still to be determined, but you have to consider the fact here, Gotti, that they conducted that raid at his home outside Houston in Spring, Texas, and authorities say that he drove from Texas to California before throwing that Molotov cocktail allegedly at the driveway gate of Sam Altman's home. No one was injured, but because of that security guard being so close to where that bottle struck the gate and caught fire, that's what brought about this attempted murder charge here.
Big difference between vandalism and attempted murder.
No doubt.
Meanwhile, again, that was the first. Now there's been a possible shooting. Any word on whether those two may be related?
Yeah, so let's talk about the proximity here. You have the Molotov cocktail early, about 3 a.m. Friday morning, then reports of gunfire. This was early around 3 a.m. Sunday morning. We know that 2 men were detained. They were detained on suspicion of, negligent use of a firearm. We know 3 guns were recovered. At this point in time, investigators acknowledge that something took place, but they say it's still too early to connect either of these 2 incidents together. However, the investigation still remains ongoing into that 20-year-old Texas man who, importantly, is being held without bail because they believe he is a threat to the public safety here.
Yeah, interesting to see where that investigation leads. Yep. Thanks so much, Morgan. And turning now to the missing American woman in the Bahamas, where authorities there are going to be calling off search efforts within the next 48 hours. Remember, Lynette Hooker disappeared after reportedly falling off a boat that she was on with her husband. He was soon arrested, but then he walked out of jail last night scot-free, at least for now. NBC's Jesse Kirsch spoke with him today.
Did police ever explicitly ask you if you hurt your wife? Of course. What did you say to them? I said I've never harmed Lynette, and I never would harm Lynette, and I want to find Lynette.
Tonight, Brian Hooker is a free man.
Sorry, no comments.
Speaking out just hours after Bahamian authorities released him from custody. He faces no charges, but investigators tell us he remains a suspect in the disappearance of his wife, Lynette, who vanished more than a week ago.
Police still look at you as a suspect. Why do you think that is? I think some of it is probably the media attention, which is understandable. The faster they get it out of the way, the more police can come and help search.
Hooker says Lynette fell from their dinghy in unpredictable seas, but his attorney advised him not to discuss the details.
If there's anything you can share about Easter weekend that you remember, I cannot share anything. I don't want to take a chance that anything could interfere with the search. I welcome any attention, anything that helps me further my goal of finding Lynette.
I also asked him about reports he and Lynette have had a volatile relationship.
What do you want people to know about your marriage with Lynette?
I want people to know that Lynette is my life, and we have been together almost half my life, and we belong to each other.
Hooker telling me he plans to keep searching for Lynette.
I don't think I've ever been apart from her in 25 years for this long. She wouldn't stop, and I'm not going to stop.
Jesse Kirsch, thank you for that reporting. And coming up, a group that is no stranger to war weighs in on the decision to attack Iran. NBC's Aaron Gilchrist gets reaction from military vets. Coming up next, so stay tuned.
All right, clear.
That was a pretty powerful interview. All right. Okay. Guess what, guys? How much time do we have? Oh, unlimited time, because that's the rest of the show, and we still don't really know how to route everything else through OBS. One of these days, we're going to figure that out. I just have to go up to New York to figure it out. Jesse Wire. This is classified. Why are you giving me stuff to rabbit hole tonight? Hi. Yeah, saw that. I meant the song by Oasis. Wonderwall. Interesting, Jesse. All right, Jack, thank you for that. And Gemini, interesting. Okay. Anyway, thank you guys so very much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, and there's a lot more coming up this week. That AI Lego story was phenomenal, and I think that there's a couple other stories that are in that similar vein that I think you guys will really get a kick out of. So we will see you here tomorrow, same time, 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Tell your friends, but don't tell too many people, because we want these chats to be manageable. You see how it gets on the days that too many people are in here. Asta, bye Tina, bye SMO, bye Brent, bye Reed, bye Jesse.